Jason Williamson, Sleaford Mods. Hello, how are you?
How you doing?
Very good. How's the lockdown?
Yeah, it's getting a little bit weird now. Um, I think that's just the kids are feeling it. You know what I mean? And our youngest is only 4, and he's just absolutely just turned into an animal. But apart from that, it's not too bad actually. We're a bit concerned about how things are going to go. The kind of landscape, especially in sort of show business and that. When we're going to get back. We're quite fortunate that we've been quite established for a number of years, so we're all right for the minute. But a lot of bands aren't. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a worrying time for everybody, really, not just those in the music industry. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So we're speaking today on a Thursday, which means that eight o'clock tonight we'll have the clap for carers. You've talked recently about how the clapping is almost kind of a bit of a hollow gesture. I wonder if you wouldn't mind elaborating on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a hollow gesture. I mean, a lot of people. My sister's a nurse, and she finds it quite soothing, but I find it quite sinister. I find it acts as a gateway for appeasement for the neglect that the National Health Service has received from the government. It's almost as if it's okay not to really care. These claps are allowing some kind of emotional justification for people mainly being static about their awareness of frontline workers and how they just get treated like shit all the time, you know what I mean? And especially with the fact that this is endorsed by the Prime Minister, which, you didn't give a flying fuck about anybody, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's really quite angering. It would have been better if people have gone, no, you can fuck off, What you can do is you can pay them properly. You can pay all these people properly. We're not just talking about the NHS here, we're talking about people in the co-op down the road, talking about people at the petrol station who are walking around without face masks. You just don't know, all of these people on the front line need thinking about, and it's just like claps. I just find it a bit patronising,
Did you think by the government endorsing it, they're encouraging people to kind of feel better about the situation for themselves, but without actually having to apply any sort of critical thought to...
Well, this is what I've just said. Yeah, completely. But my sister turned around and said, well, you get claps every night. Why shouldn't I? It's like, fair enough. And, it helps me. But it's like, this is the thing, isn't it? Most of the frontline workers, most people on frontline jobs, let's face it, are from the lower spectrum of the class, the class structure. They're just made to feel like it's their lot again, you know what I mean? And, it's been battered into people's psychology. People on, low wages, that they're a piece of shit, and they just get little bits, little scraps. And the clapping to me is almost like that, you know what I mean? The fact that my sister, and no disrespect to her, has not really questioned it like that is it says it all, really. We've been clamped down to the floor, and told that you'll get what you're given, you know what I mean?
One thing that we have seen is there has been a sort of a upswell in appreciation and affection for these frontline workers, not just NHS staff, but deliverers and couriers and whatnot. Do you think after coronavirus that will continue, that respect for them?
I'd like it to, but I think if the machine gets going again, it will be gradual, blah blah blah, and then when it gets into full swing, that'll be it. You know what I mean? People will go back to that way of thinking because it's got a very strong presence. Capitalism, you just get on with it. People get back into their rhythms, and so it will probably get forgotten about. You know what I mean?
Does it annoy you at all seeing the Conservatives, whose policies have had such major impact on the NHS, now talking about how brilliant it is?
Absolutely. It's not all black and white, is it? Who knows what kind of mindset goes on in Parliament in the sense of how people really feel about the NHS, and how many people have pushed a policy that will harm it. But I would imagine that it's pretty much across the board in the Conservative Party that you know, the disregard for it. So yeah, you know, I'm sick of saying words like disgusting. You know, they're not strong enough anymore. These people are absolutely heinous. They are the enemies of humankind currently in this country. You just lose words. You know what I mean? You just can't. You can't describe it enough because you're so full of fucking hatred.
Let's talk about the NHS then. So there's been calls all across the country for the NHS staff to get pay rises, which I think probably a lot of people agree with. On a purely symbolic level, the NHS literally saved the life of the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Like, do you see that kind of recognition coming?
It's got to, hasn't it? There's got to be a tip. You know, there has to be something in favour of a form of recognition that will bolster wages and bolster the idea of these people in the eyes of the masses. You know what I mean? Because they have been literally reduced, and this is no disrespect to people who work in places like that, but they have literally been reduced to people that just work in fast food outlets, you know, people that work in, I don't know, bars, you know what I mean? It's just there, isn't it? It's kind of almost taken for granted, you know what I mean? But obviously these things, since the breakdown, since the pandemic, these things have come on top as vocations that are literally holding things together, so to speak. You know, we need food. We need to be looked after. You know,
what this all boils down to basically is the way capitalism works and the structure of society that we have. We're often told that it's the only system that works, but we've seen that it's basically been put on hold for the duration of this. I wonder, do you think that there's any chance that after this people will start to think differently about the kind of society that we could have?
We're not quite sure what could take its place because obviously it's just been paused. So everything that goes with the lanes of capitalism, with money, with this, with jobs, with blah, 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 they've just stopped for us. They've been frozen. But it's in the mindset of they're coming back. So although we're in a bit of limbo at the minute, there doesn't seem to be another way in which we could probably exist without a capitalist society. I can't see anything like that at the minute. All I'm experiencing is this state of mind in limbo. You know, I mean, I don't think I was, you know, I just haven't got those tools, that vision to kind of govern a country, you know what I mean? So I don't know, who knows? But certainly the peace and quiet, you know, the completely free time does make you think that, yeah, obviously there is another way. It's just trying to find one, isn't it?
Do you think it's necessary that people should think about a different way of living?
I think we are either squeezing or screaming, aren't we? Do you know what I mean? It's like, if capitalism is working for you at the minute, it's working for me at the minute. I don't know if it's working for you, it probably is, you know. We're squeezing, aren't we? We're constantly taking. If it isn't working, we're just screaming, you know. So it's like, that is not natural, it's not right, is it? So, of course, something else has to take its place. But it just remains to be seen what that is, you know. Let's hope that Dominic Cummings doesn't come up with a plan first, because I'm sure it's just not going to be good. Do you know what I mean?
Does he hold a special place of ire in your heart, Dominic Cummings?
He's obviously sort of the campaign manager or whatever it is. He just sorts Boris out, doesn't he? But there's a lot of philosophies that go into policies and decisions that are made by Dominic Cummings, you know. And this is a man that wants to tear the fabric of society apart and, you know, redesign it in a way that he thinks will give better results. But it's a little bit concerning because he is a neoliberal. He doesn't seem to hold people that earn a certain wage in regard. Do you know what I mean? Everything in his experience, everything that he is connected to is from the upper echelons of society. So it's a little bit concerning. Do you know what I mean?
And on the sort of the wider scope of the situation, what has made you the angriest during this period?
Just the incompetence of the government, loss of wages. I mean, that's on a selfish level, obviously, but people dying unnecessarily. Just some of the things that keep propping up. Boris going on, in the paper saying you will lose a lot of loved ones. Who the fuck are you to tell me that I'm going to have to go through, misery, that I'm going to have to experience death just because you're fucking incompetent, I can't stand the twat. So it's like, just stuff like that really, but it's mainly directed at the government and not a lot else at the minute,
We touched on it earlier, but we've talked about the frontline workers, the important people that delivering our food, stacking our shelves, etc.
Yeah.
Very often the lowest paid people in society, or some of the lowest paid people. What do you think it says about us, the way our society is constructed, that the people who are on the lower end of the wage scale are also the most exposed to the virus?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it's a cruel system, isn't it? It's a sink or swim thing. And the lower monetary value that you've got, the more higher risk you are to early death, to the onslaught of exterior things that aren't very pleasant, So I guess it's like anything, isn't it? It's like an army, isn't it? I guess you get the infantry at the front, and then the more skilled fighters in the middle, and etc. You know what I mean? So it's a vicious system. So that's just how it is, isn't it? It's all about money. It's not about socialism, really. It's not about equal rights. This period of capitalism we're living through is quite severe. And it's all about profit. The free market's there. You've got the opportunity to be rich if you want to be, but obviously down to education, experience, and social status. Most people haven't got that. So that's just how it is, isn't it?
It's especially come to light particularly in America, where there's a lot of pressure in some states to reopen the economy again, even while the virus is still running rampant.
Yeah.
That's the way our lives are built, is based on this thing.
Yeah, I mean, he was even telling people to go vote for him before they die or something, so I heard. I mean, that's just some new level of fascism that is just incredible. People are just shocked, aren't they? They just can't believe it. I can't listen to anything he says. I just can't do it. I can't look at anything on Twitter or any little things, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's pretty bad, It's economy first, isn't it? And that's just how it is, because that's how it's running. But the elite need the people at the bottom. They need them, and without them, eventually they'll be fucked. You know what I mean? What's the point? You know what I mean? They'll just be 25, 30 billionaires on a planet with nobody to get their resources for them. They're fucked. Do you know what I mean?
So let's chat a little bit about the new release, All That Glue. It's not a greatest hits. It's not a B-sides. What is it?
It's like a retrospective. It's like we wanted to do something that kind of what we thought represented the idea of Sleaford Mods to us. You know what I mean? Also, it acts as a go-to for people that aren't familiar with us. A central point of reference. Stuff like Jobseeker, Jolly Fucker, Routine Dean. These songs were released on limited 7 inches 5 or 6 years ago, and although they're fan favourites at gigs and that, people just can't listen to them, because they're not on anything. So we needed to get that sorted out. So it was an excuse for all of that, really. But yeah, we didn't want to do a greatest hits because that'd just be shit. I wouldn't enjoy listening to it. It's just like, oh, where's TCR? Oh wow, where's fucking Kebab Spider? Oh wow, you want some of the album tracks in there that are just as good. You know what I mean? And there's also some unreleased stuff in there that we thought was, when going back to it and listening to it, was just as strong. as the tracks that we chose for the album at that time. Those unreleased tracks, they span from 2013 up until 2016, I think. So, it was important to try and get a few of those in because we just wanted to get them out there. You know what I mean?
You mentioned Jobseeker there. I think the most viewed video of Sleaford Mods is you performing it on Jools Holland.
Oh yeah.
How significant was that gig, and why do you think that song resonates so much with people?
How significant was the Jools Holland thing?
Yeah, was that a turning point in any way?
A little bit. I mean, we were kind of there anyway. I mean, we did really blow up. We were quite a big buzz band for about 1.5 years, 2 years. So it did help, don't get me wrong, fucking hell. And I'd always wanted to go on, it was like a childhood dream to go on to Jools Holland. A lot of musicians from my era really want to go on Jools Holland, you know what I mean? It's a real big thing. And we did it really well. It's like, I thought I was really chuffed with the performance. And as regards to the song, I mean, everybody can relate to signing on. Everyone can relate to shit jobs. A lot of people. And that was a big part of my life, you know what I mean? So when I wrote that song, it was a song I'd written before I met Andrew, and it was a song that originally I put a Yardbird sample to, For Your Love. And it was suggested to us that we re-record it because people kept asking for it. And so Andrew re-recorded it and made it his own, and the rest is history, you know what I mean?
Were you at all disappointed when you went on Jools Holland that he didn't hop on the piano and start boogie-woogieing with you along to it?
No, none of that. I don't think he would have, you know what I mean? He's a lovely bloke, actually. I really liked him, he was sound. But, I don't think... I think people were a little bit like, what the fuck are these doing? Because all the bands were around the sides of the studio and the camera pans to each band, you know what I mean? And because it was only me and Andrew and a laptop, they were like, well, you can go in the middle. So they were all like just looking at us like, how the fuck are you? But yeah, it really worked out. It was really good. Speaking
of you and Andrew and a laptop, you put out a clip from your Hammersmith Apollo gig about a month ago or something. It's amazing how just one guy with a mic and another guy with a laptop can fill a big space. Like, have you ever gone onto a stage and thought, fucking hell, how are we going to do this?
No. We played Wembley Stadium, actually, with the Stone Roses. And we got on stage. Have you ever been to Wembley Stadium?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. The stage is like, you think, we've done big gigs, we're all right. Got onto the stage. It's fucking massive. But it didn't bother us. It was like, we can do this. But we learned to do larger stages pretty early on. Do you know what I mean? We were going over to Europe to festivals over there and playing in front of 5,000-6,000 people. And, the stages were big. So we learned from an early period that, we learned how to work them, so to speak. But, I mean, I think it doesn't matter if you're a 5-6-piece band or just, with the setup we've got. You do eventually get swallowed up, you know what I mean? It's like, and obviously this is why people have lighting shows, and all the other stuff. So when we got to play in Hammersmith last year, we figured it was time to try and bring a lighting thing into it, and it really worked.
So is there ever a reality? I think I know the answer to this question already, but I'll ask it. But is there ever a reality where I go to a Sleaford Mods gig and you guys come out with a full band, there's a string section, gospel choir?
No, that's just not going to work, is it? It's not going to work. I don't even know if I'd do that as a solo thing, or if like someone invited me to do it, I'd be like, I just feel it's like watching, like those old big bands, from back in the 30s. When I watch a full band playing, it reminds me of that. It just seems so traditional and so laboured, and so it's so lodged into the consciousness that I don't know. It doesn't feel very contemporary. But don't get me wrong. I like lots of music like that, but I don't think it suits us. You know what I mean?
But you have managed to develop, like, there is a sound that runs through all of your work, but like it progresses and changes, with each one whilst staying similar to what it was before, if you see what I mean.
Thank you, yeah.
How have you managed to achieve that?
Don't know, time is a really good, it kind of matures it, you know what I mean? You get back in the studio and it changes for some reason, because you've spent 2 years promoting an album, gigging it, you've obviously 2 years older, all of those things are thrown into the mix, you know what I mean? I'm constantly concerned that we are flogging a dead horse, we're one-trick ponies. And I think that also helps in making it, retain its vibrancy, you know what I mean? And just obviously outside influences, music, experience, whatever, they can shape it as well.
Finally, just to sum things up, what are you going to do for the rest of the day?
I've just hoovered up and I did Joe Wicks this morning, and then I did some weights. And I think I'm going to have lunch, and then we're going to go to the park and see if we can run any excess energy off the kids, you know what I mean? Because they really are feeling it. They just don't know what's going on, and I think they're a bit confused as to why they're staying at home every day, you know what I mean?
How do you even explain to a 4-year-old child what's going on?
You don't, and they don't even ask. But, they're not stupid. Something's going into their consciousness where it's like, what's going on here? Why am I sat at home all day? Why is Daddy shouting at me 24/7? Do you know what I mean? It's like so they're aware that something's... I mean, our oldest one, she's 8, and, she's aware that there's, germs hanging around. We can't go near people. But... they haven't been fully introduced to the capitalist system yet, have they? Do you know what I mean? They're still at school, so it's like, it'll come.
Plenty of time for that, yeah.
Plenty of time for that, yeah.
Oh, that's brilliant. Jason Williamson, thank you very much for your time.
No worries, thank you. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.